Alright people, recently Stack Overflow released the results of their 2018 developer survey. There were more than 100,000 people who responded to the survey, and I feel it is really important that all of us are aware of these results because 1, it is pretty reliable, and 2, it gives you an insight into what others are thinking. Some of us might not have the time to go through the full survey results, so I've put together the interesting and important ones in this video. I'll talk about the developer profile first, and then move on to technology. First, let's talk about developers' experience. When it comes to experience, 1/3 of the people started learning to code in the last 5 years. And over half of the respondents have 5 years or less of professional coding experience. So you can say that a majority of the people have started out recently, and it is great to see the numbers grow every year. Next, let's talk about education. About 3/4 of professional developers have the equivalent of a bachelor's degree or higher. So 20 to 25% of professional developers do not have a degree. Out of the professionals who do have a degree, nearly 1/3 majored in a discipline other than computer science or software engineering. So how are they learning? Mainly through official documentation, Stack Overflow, ebooks, and online courses. In fact, 80% of respondents rely on Stack Overflow Q&A when learning something new. So the next time you want to learn a new language, make sure you keep this in mind. Next, let's talk about employment. Over 90% of developers are employed at least part-time. 74% are in fact employed full-time. This is a really good number to see for those aspiring to be developers in the future. Keep trying hard and you're going to find the job you always wanted. Alright, now let's focus on technology. For the 6th year in a row, JavaScript is the most commonly used programming language. Python has risen in the ranks, surpassing C# this year. It is rapidly growing as a major programming language. So if you've just started using Python, this should make you happy. Now diving into frameworks and libraries. Node.js and Angular continue to be the most commonly used technologies, with React and .NET Core shortly behind. When it comes to databases, MySQL and SQL Server continue to be the top 2 most commonly used databases. MongoDB is the most popular NoSQL database. Next up, let's take a look at the most loved and wanted results. For the 3rd year in a row, Rust is the most loved programming language, followed closely by Kotlin. This means that proportionally, more developers want to continue working with these than other languages. And Python is the most wanted language for the 2nd year in a row. By wanted, it is not what the companies are looking for, but it is the language that developers who do not yet use it want to learn. When it comes to frameworks and libraries, TensorFlow, the machine learning framework, is the most loved one by developers. And React is the framework developers say they most want to work with. Databases, for the 2nd year in a row, Redis is the most loved database. MongoDB is the most wanted database. Finally, when it comes to environment and tools, specifically for web development, Visual Studio Code topped the list, edging out Visual Studio for the very first time. So we have Visual Studio Code, followed by Visual Studio, followed by Notepad and Sublime. If you haven't used it already, I highly recommend you start using Visual Studio Code. Alright, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. There is a lot more information, such as how many hours you spend on your laptop, do you exercise at all, do you skip any of your meals, what time do you wake up, and also for the very first time, there is survey result on how ethical a developer is and also about artificial intelligence. But this channel is mainly focused on web development, and I wanted to give an overview focusing on that. I have the link to the survey in the description down below, so if you do have the time, feel free to go through the entire survey. Well, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on web development.